5th. It's Tuesday, and today I'll be reading chapter 12 of Glory Be. So we're going to have another reading quiz, so it's so important that you're watching my videos and reading along. Today's objective: students will be able to learn how to determine the meaning of unfamiliar words using context clues. Your DOL is your online assignment called Context Clues. Context clues. Word detectives look around an unknown word for clues that the author may have included to help them figure out the meaning and understand new topics. These clues are called context clues, and we have our handy dandy anchor chart on this page that you can always pause the video to look at. Clues that good readers use to find the meaning of unknown words. Look for pictures, which unfortunately our book does not have. Look for helping words, so words around the unknown word. Words you know, examples and definitions, and synonyms and antonyms. Synonyms are words that mean the same. Antonyms are words that mean the opposite. Here are the procedural steps that you would take to use context clues and defining an unfamiliar word. Read the sentence and underline the unknown words. Think about what is happening in the sentence. Find other words that may explain the meaning of the unknown word. Look for antonyms and synonyms or word parts. So sometimes that step won't be available for us because not every sentence has an antonym or synonym in it. Step 5, try different words in place of the unknown word to see if the sentence makes sense. Glory Be, Chapter 12. I'll be using context clues to find the meaning of the word composed. Remember, it's so important that you're reading along with me. That way, when we take another reading quiz, you get the answers right. Chapter 12. Old Lady Simpson slams the door. I caught my breath from running down the street. I pushed open my front door. I raced through the house, making enough noise to get some attention. Emma was outside hanging Daddy's shirts on the clothesline. Calm down, Glory. What's the matter? I held up my letter with about 1 million words crossed out. Guess what this is, Emma? I'm writing the Hanging Moss Tribune newspaper. I'm telling the editor that somebody in this town needs to figure out what's wrong with our pool and fix it. Emma poked a clothespin at a shirt to hang it. She did the same thing with another, then another, till a line of stiff white shirts floated upside down in the sunshine. Finally, she picked up the laundry basket and looked at me. Gloriana, you sure you know what you're doing? I didn't stop to answer, just turned around and went looking for more paper. I found today's Tribune, a writing tablet, a pencil, and envelopes on Daddy's desk. I brought these to the kitchen table and spread them out. Emma came to sit with her sack of snap beans in her lap. I'm writing my own letter. Miss Bloom thinks I can. I opened up the tablet. What you got to say to that newspaper? She asked, snapping green beans without even looking at the bowl. Plenty. I started to read. Dear Editor, closing down our pool in the hottest time of the summer is the worst idea on earth. It stinks that you're closing our pool. Open it now. I looked up at Emma. Sounds like messing in something you don't know a thing about. You might want to tell Brother Joe this first, she said, snapping beans faster and faster. I'm not telling anybody. I don't want to make any nosy church people mad thinking he helped me, or Jesslyn saying I don't write big enough words, and I sure don't want Frankie worrying I'm giving away any of his stupid secrets. Emma stopped snapping beans and looked straight at me. A fish that never opens his mouth won't get caught. I put down my pencil. What's that mean? Means if you keep your mouth closed, You don't make trouble. Watch out you don't get us all in trouble. Don't worry, Emma. I know what I'm doing. I opened a clean sheet of paper and started over. Dear Tribune Editor, do you know how hot it is in the summer? All the children of Hanging Moss want some place to swim. Words buzzed around my bed like a mosquito that needed swatting. Emma shook her head slowly. If you're bound and determined to write this letter, at least think about saying the right thing. I'm trying. Shoot. This letter writing is harder than I thought. I ripped my paper to shreds and stomped out of the kitchen. Emma followed me into the dining room. Come back here, Glory. Sit down. She patted the back of the high wooden chair. She handed me the paper and pencil. Take this and begin again. Always a good idea to start with saying something nice. Leave your vinegar till the end. She smiled and put her hand over mine, and I remembered our hands together like Daddy's statue. I took a deep breath. I might need some help saying it stinks that our pool is closed in a nicer way. Try thinking about what really matters to you about your pool, Emma said, and not just your birthday party. You can do this. She laughed when I wrinkled my nose up at her. Then she disappeared into the kitchen. I chewed on the pencil, thought some more, crossed parts out. I tore up the whole thing and started over. I looked it over one last time. Emma, come here, please, I called out. I'm ready. When she finished reading, Emma shook her head and said quietly, What have you done now, Glory? What have you done? I meant every word of it, I said. Every single word. I jerked my letter away from her. Then I guess I'm proud of you, baby, even if you do get us all in a whole lot of trouble. I felt my shoulders loosen for the first time all day. I sealed up the envelope. I memorized the address I'd written on the outside in my best script. Then I put the letter in my back pocket, real careful, and I headed across to 233 East Main Street. I looked in the big glass window with Hanging Moss Tribune painted in fancy letters across the front. Still open. Wait a dang minute. Was that my neighbor, Mrs. Simpson, with her green-tinged hair all done up in a fat bun, inside the Tribune's office, typing away at a desk right by the door? What was she doing here? I tapped on the window, smiled, and waved. Mrs. Simpson glanced up, paying me as much attention as she does when she's playing the piano at Daddy's church. I took a deep breath to stop my heart from pounding. Then I marched right in. Hello, Mrs. Simpson, I said, polite as a preacher's kid. The air conditioner in the window was making such a racket I wasn't sure she'd heard me. Hello, Mrs. Simpson, I said again, shivering in the cold office. Gloriana Hemphill, what brings you to the Tribune? She smiled in that grown-up way that means people don't care about hearing the answer. A letter. I have a letter to the newspaper editor. I reached in my pocket and handed it across the desk. My heart was pounding. I tried to picture Mrs. Simpson in her big flowered bathing suit with the skirt billowing out, swimming with those esters at the community pool instead of sitting behind that newspaper desk, looking like a hawk ready to pounce on a baby bird. What a sweet thing to do. She hardly glanced up from her typewriter. What's your little letter about, dearie? It's about the pool, I said. I don't think it's right to close it or to keep people out just because they aren't white. Oh. Mrs. Simpson's mouth made the letter O when she spoke. I'll see that the editor gets this. Mrs. Simpson looked like she just smelled rotten eggs. She held my letter by one corner and dropped it in her dress drawer. I peered over her desk just as she banged the drawer shut. When will my letter be in the paper? I asked. As soon as there's room on the letters to the editor's page, and of course, we have to check for grammatical mistakes. And be sure the writer composed the letter him or herself. Mrs. Simpson moved toward the front door. I hope Brother Joe is aware of your letter writing, she said, holding the door open. Yeah, he is, I lied. When I stepped outside, a blast of heat made me want to sink down on the sidewalk to catch my breath, but I kept moving. And for your information, I composed that letter myself, I yelled onto the hot, empty air. Every single word. But Mrs. Simpson slammed the door and turned the sign to closed, trapping the cold inside. So on this last page, I see the word composed used twice. So we're going to take those two sentences and use context clues to figure out what compose means. So step 1, Read the sentence and underline the unknown words. And be sure the writer composed the letter him or herself. Mrs. Simpson moved toward the front door. And for your information, I composed that letter myself. I yelled into the hot, empty air. Every single word. Step 2. Think about what is happening in the sentence. In the first sentence, it seems as though Mrs. Simpson wants to make sure Gloria is the only one who wrote the letter to the editor. In the second sentence, it seems like Gloria is yelling back at Mrs. Simpson that she wrote the letter all by herself without any help. Step 3. Find other words that may explain the meaning of the unknown word. The word writer and by myself are giving me clues about our unknown word. Step 4. Look for antonyms and synonyms or word parts. So this is not applicable for these sentences. There are no opposite words or words that mean the same. But maybe writer means the same as compose. Step 5. Try different words in place of the unknown word to see if the sentence makes sense. So I replaced composer or compose with writer and wrote. And be sure the writer wrote the letter him or herself. And for your information, I wrote the letter myself. So after completing all 5 steps, I have gathered enough information to figure out the meaning of compose, which means written or wrote. Your independent work today is to read the journal entry from 1725. Then use context clues to find the meaning of unknown words. And I chose 2 words that you must find the definition of. Okay, I hope everyone has a fantastic rest of your Tuesday.